would like to welcome each and every one of you to the session 2, and this is in the Go Indie portion, and I'm going to be covering the part about do it yourself. So we're going to be looking at do it yourself. What I'd like to do first is tell you a little bit about myself as we go through this, and then I'll kind of give you the groundwork of, or kind of like the ground rules of how we're going to progress. I will be using a PowerPoint, so you'll have access to that. I do have handouts. You can download them now. They're off of the main screen on the right-hand side, and that's your choice. You can get them now, get them later, but I do hope that you will pick them up. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I am Linda Goldfarb. I'm the acquisitions editor, and I'm also the director of the audiobook division of EA Books Publishing. And I am a hybrid author. And what does that mean? That means that I'm both traditionally published and self-published. So I've been on both sides of the publishing arena. And as the acquisitions editor for EA Books, we work with self-publishing authors. So I love to be able to partner with those that are in the journey of writing. And a lot of people ask, what does EA stand for in front of EA Books Publishing? Well, I always say that's a great question. And EA stands for Erkam Kana Adonai, which is Hebrew for I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord. And it comes from Psalm 18:1. And this is the Living Bible translation where we read, Lord, how I love you. For you have done such tremendous things for me. And our owner is Sherry Cowell. And when Sherry founded EA Books, that was her heartbeat, that, Lord, you are so amazing and incredible, and you do such tremendous things for us. And at EA Books, that is what we want to offer and do with our authors. We are branded as a partnership publisher because we are with you from manuscript to distribution and beyond by your choice. If you choose to partner with us, we have hand-holding, we provide everything that we can so that your journey in writing this book will be so good that you want to start on your next book. So that's the reason that we are here. And that's why we love being able to come to conferences like this one. It is just so fabulous that we can share what we do. And part of what we're doing here today is walking you through the DIY process. So I'm going to be sharing with you, and let me go ahead, and if you see me turn my head from the right to the left, I work off 3 monitors. And so I do a lot of audio transcribing. I do a lot of video work. So I have multiple monitors that I work with. So my head may go from one to the other. So please, I hope that it won't be too distracting for you. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we'll get it up here. And here we are.
We may have lost her. Let's see. I'm not seeing her on here. That's Laura's that's showing up. She's our host. So I'm sure she'll be back in a second.
It's easy to hit
Oh,
the
there she
wrong
is.
button.
I am so like going, and that was weird. Okay. So thank y'all for staying. This is good. All right. I'm going to share my screen, and I know that the recording is going. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And here we go. And right now you should be able to see the chalkboard PowerPoint. Can everyone see that for me? Thumbs up if you can see it. Thank you very much. Okay. So what we're looking at is, as I said, we're doing the Indie Pub portion. This is section number 2, the do-it-yourself process. So today we're going to be mastering the basics. If you are a self-pub author, you are going to be wearing 2 hats throughout the process of getting your book written and all the way to publication. So mastering the basics, we're going to be looking at mastering Microsoft Word. We're going to look at mastering technology, mastering social media, and mastering fear. You'll note the words that I chose was we're going to look at these. We're not going to accomplish all of these during today's session, but we're certainly going to be looking at it so you have an awareness, a deeper awareness of what is asked of from you as the author and publisher of your book. So the first area is going to be looking at the Microsoft Word. And with Microsoft Word, know that basically you are the publisher. So the first hat that you're going to be wearing, we're going to have a little bit of hat stuff here. The first hat you're going to be wearing is your creative hat. It's going to look different for each one of us, but in the creativeness, this is when we are looking at what we're writing, how are we going to write it, and so it's from the author's perspective. These are the things that the author must be able to do. So one of the key things is when you are working with Microsoft Word, it's going to see how you set it up. It's setting up your manuscript, setting up if you go to the home key or the home tab up at the top of your Word document, you're going to be able to set up a lot. And one of the first things we say is when you're setting up your manuscript, you're writing it out, do not use the tab keys. Don't use the return key for spacing. We don't want you to do that at all, because what happens, we don't want you to use shortcut keys on the board, because what happens with that is it leaves hidden formatting in your manuscript. So then when you go to place it up on KDP, when you go to do print on demand, it's going to be skewed. It's not going to be laid out the way that you want it to. So you need to learn about how to use your format tab. And when you are in Word, you're going to find that the format tab, it's up in the nav bar at the very top where you'll see Word. Then you'll see different like edit and file and view and insert and all of that. You're going to need to understand and learn more about the format bar and the tab button. So what we look at is in the paragraph. So if I don't know, you may not have this in or the ability to open up a Word document while you're in front of me, but that's okay. You've got all the notes. It's going to tell you and walk you through what to do. What we're looking at when we go for the formatting, that's up at the very top, and you click on the format tab, and under the format tab, it will show you that you can click the paragraph and you can click the documents. And when you do that, it's going to open up another option for you. Under the paragraph tab, it will show you what the spacing you can have before and after a sentence, before and after a paragraph. And then also the indentation. When do you want it to indent? And it actually gives you an option. Do you want it to indent on the first line of a paragraph? What do you want it to do? But that's where you'll find these keys. And it also shows you how to set the spacing for your book. Because if you are creating a manuscript, then you're going to want the manuscript laid out. We do it with like Times New Roman, 1 inch margins all the way around, Times New Roman, 12-point font, and double spacing. If you are sending that to an editor, if you are sending that in for someone, and if you self-pub, you must have it edited, professionally edited. That's key to having this done, okay? So, and then when you also look under the format tab, you'll find document. And when you go to the document, that's where you set the margins and the layout of your manuscript. Then there's also the insert, and insert is up top of the nav bar. It's going to be on mine. I use a Mac. It's to the left of format. And so insert is where you're going to insert your line breaks, your page breaks. You're going to insert page numbers there. All of that is found on that area. Okay. We will have time for a Q&A, hopefully a little bit before we finish up today. Now, I'm going to cover the next part, which is Microsoft bugaboos. And this is how you want to preset your document, because if you preset it this way, it's going to change everything. It really helps you. You'll find that you have autocorrect. And some of you may be writing and then all of a sudden you see a word that wasn't the word that you wanted to put in there. It's because it autocorrected it. So you can go and look under the tools section up at the top of your Word document, your nav bar. And under tools, you're going to find that it has a portion that says autocorrect and auto format on. And what you want to do is unclick it. You do not want it to autocorrect and you don't want it to auto format your manuscript. Okay. Then you're going to look at borders and shading. And if you go up to format, then under format, you're going to be able to drop down and you'll see borders and shading. And you want to make sure that there are none selected, none at all. Okay. Then, and this one is one of the fun ones. If you ever are pasting something into a document, how many of you have copied and pasted something and then it's totally skewed and then you have to try to make it match where it's coming? That can just drive you crazy. So what you do is you set up, or if you're inserting something and pasting it into your manuscript, you want to click or copy what you've created, then click it onto the manuscript where you want it inserted, then hit paste, which is normally right click. You see paste, but you don't want to hit paste itself. You want to hit paste special. Then when you hit paste special, you choose unformatted text. And once you choose unformatted text and it goes in there, then you're going to be able to do anything with it that you want. This is just kind of a run through so that you'll know this is what you're having to look at if you're going to self-pub your own book. Okay? We will have time for questions. Just write them down. The next thing you're going to have to be aware of wearing your author's hat is technology. So what do you need to master? You're going to need to master your own computer. If you're finding yourself having to ask someone, where is this? How do I do this? There's a lot of tutorials that are out there. If you are a PC owner or if you're a Mac owner, technology tutorials today are available everywhere. So you have to be the master of your own technology. And that means with your computer, you need to know before you begin, how do you save a document or download a document, and where does that document actually go when you save it and download it? Most of the time, it's going to go, unless you have an opportunity to designate where you want it downloaded, which is what I do. I create a file. Then when I download something, I know that I'm going to download it to that file. But if you download something and you're like, I can't find it, you could probably go to your download area on a Mac. It shows you that in your nav bar, these are all of your downloads. If you have a personal computer, a PC, then just Google, where did my downloaded files go? And guess what? You're going to get an answer. You're going to find it. So you can do this. It's just going to be a learning curve for you. Okay. Then it's also knowing how to open and save different file formats, because there's so many, there's PDFs, there's all these different file formats that are out there. And as an author, you need to learn, teach yourself, check out the tutorials and find out, how do I open different file formats? You might even Google what files are involved in writing a book or self-publishing a book. These are things I can't teach you right now, but you can find them out, and they are available to you out there. The next thing in the area of technology is you need to find out about your internet. And what does that mean? One of the key things, you need to know, what is the download speed that you have on your computer? Now, with download speeds and upload speeds, there's a lot of things that you can do. You can get different apps. You can, like out on, I think that I wrote it down here, that there are, I use like Speed Check. There's a lot of them. If you go online and you search for internet speed checkers or Wi-Fi speed checkers, they're going to give you a whole bunch. And even Google has one that you click it and it will tell you how quick your download and upload speed is. Google Internet Speed Test is that one. So from any computer, you can do that. And then you can install different programs on your phone. And you need to also find out, sorry, not your phone, but on your computer. I interchange. I work off of my phone and I work off of my iPad and I work off of my computer. So I have a lot of intermingling files that I can work with based on different devices. But when you're installing programs or apps on your computer, you need to find out, how do I do that? What is the process? You want to find that out before you start working on your manuscript. So some of you are like right now, well, what if I already have a manuscript, and how do I have it fit what we talked about at the front end? I'll cover that with you before this is over. I'll make sure that you have that. Basically, I'm here just to let you know that if you're wearing the author hat, these are things that you need to be aware of, okay? The next thing is going to be in the area of social media. And as I go through this, again, have your questions, because I can go through this. You'll have copies of this. You can come back and listen to this, but I want to get to your questions personally while you're here. So when we're looking at social media, what do you need to master there? You must have a social media or internet presence, because that is where your readers are. It's flat out where your readers are. And if you're not where your readers are, then you're going to miss out. If your book is on the internet, you need to be there too, okay? And so you need to choose what platform that you want to be active on. And there are some amazing books that are out there on how to handle social media as a writer. I do a podcast. I host the Your Best Writing Life for the that's on the web, and you can find us on any of the podcasting sites. And I cover a lot of stuff every week for aspiring writers all the way through best-selling writers or authors, and a lot of information there with a lot of free downloads in the show notes and stuff too. So if you listen to podcasts, Your Best Writing Life, I do recommend that. So, but when you're looking at Facebook, and with Facebook, you have your personal profile. If you're going to be an author, if you're writing, you need to create a business profile, which would be like your author profile or your author page. And then you decide, do I want to also be on Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram? Now, Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same companies. And this is something to be aware of as Christian writers, as those of us that are speaking out the word. You may or may not be familiar with this, but a lot of the algorithms on these social media sites are not necessarily user-friendly or faith-based friendly sites. So whatever you put on Facebook, whatever you have out there, I highly recommend that you also make copies of it. One of the things that I do is I write daily inspiration every single day based off of who I am as a writer and some of the projects that I work on. but I copy every single thing that I have and I put it on an outside source. So I have a copy, and if everything disappeared, I could actually go through and replace it. But if you are going to be active, or if your book is on the internet, if their book is out there, you need to be also involved with the social media. Also by having like a website or a blog site. And you need to be able to be familiar with Google. Google is where a lot of people will find you. A fun thing to do is to discover your presence out on Google. And so go out and Google your name on Google and look for yourself and see where you show up. You may be surprised. And if you are writing a blog or you have books out there, see where you are in the ranking. That's a good thing to know, because if you can't find yourself, others won't be able to find you either. Okay, so this is an area that we want to make sure that you are very familiar with. The other thing that we need to master is fear. And I know that it doesn't sound like this is what we need to be considering, but we are humans first. We have families first. We have our relationship with God first. And as a human, as a mom or a dad or a grandma or a grandpa or a brother or a sister, a spouse, we go through regular stuff just like everyone else. The challenge is, for a writer, a lot of times our life can be very lonely. And we do a lot of what we do by ourselves. We're off in a corner. And what I call this sometimes is we go off to a dark place, a place that we don't want interference, a place that we want to be alone. And in that process, a lot of times our fears can come right up. So how do we master fear? First thing, fear about writing, just do it. You've heard people say this, just write. And I heard people say it when I first entered the field, and I was like, oh, that's too simplistic. It doesn't give me enough parameters. I need more than that. And really, we don't. It's just sitting down. And if we set aside a time and we write every single day, our writing is going to improve. And we just write. We write what we know. And if we don't know something, then we learn it. If we don't know technology, we learn it. If we don't know how Word works on our computer, we learn it. Just do that. And that's the next stage too, is we master fear by knowledge. The more that we know, no one can take that away from us. No one can, eliminate what it is that we've already downloaded. Sometimes, though, I will give us a caution. There's a lot of us that can be lifetime students. It's different from a lifetime learner. A lifetime learner is someone who learns, applies, and moves on to the next. A lifetime student is the one who remains in the learning and never goes into the application. So we don't want to be a lifetime student. We want to be a learner, because if we are writing, we also have become a leader. And as a leader, you've got to be in a position where you can teach others. So that means we improve our knowledge. Someone asked earlier in our, as part of our coaching class, we were talking about that we are coaches. And the question was, who needs a coach? Everybody. I'm a coach, but I need a coach because I want to learn and be able to apply what I am not highly experted in. So that's what you need to recognize as well. And then we also master fear by understanding its origins. And this is when I talk about recognize the source. If someone is speaking into your life and they're not a writer, they don't know this culture, then they're speaking to you with limited reference. If someone is speaking into your life and they're not a believer, they're speaking into you without the advice of the Holy Spirit. Be careful of who you listen to. If someone says it can't be done, You sit back and say, but I've seen all that God has done. And if my passion, if my writing is because this is what God has called me to, you know, what is it that they say? God doesn't call you to what he won't see you through. And I have to know, is this my calling? And just because someone else tells you to write, and I may lose one of you, I may lose two, you may say, oh, wait, it's not what I'm supposed to do. But truly, if writing is not God's next best step for you, this is not what you're supposed to do. There's supposed to be something else. And it's seeking that out, but it's prayerfully going to him, which comes to the third one, mastering fear by spiritual warfare. And spiritual warfare means we use the tools that God has given us. Not everything negative in our life has been caused by the enemy wanting to destroy our life. Satan is not all knowing. He's not all present. He's not all powerful. He is not. He is a creation. And so he can work with what he hears, but he doesn't know what's going on inside your mind. He doesn't know what's going on inside of you. It's just what we project. But as a child of God, as a daughter of the Most High, as a son of the Most High, we have the Holy Spirit in us. And with the Holy Spirit, we can ask for discernment. We can seek and prayerfully ask. We can also ask others. I hope that all of you, if you're a writer, you need to have at least 3 people praying over your writing. 3 people that maybe are in different walks of your life. 3 people that you say, I've started this journey. I am a writer. Would you pray that God's will, way, and timing will be a part of what I do and how I accomplish what I do? Intercessory prayer is huge for us. And it's also us praying for others around us praying for the industry, praying for the bookstores that are having to close, praying for other individuals that come alongside us and teach us. There's a lot that we can accomplish. And the fear is the biggest one that we can overcome simply through prayer, because it's more than simplicity. It's a huge tool that we use. All of the armor of God is held on by prayer, the thread of prayer. So we must be prayerful warriors for him. So now we're going to take off this hat. Because now, once you've got your manuscript done and you're like, okay, I'm going to go into the next area. Now you're going to go into the really publishing tech part. I've got to get this out there. I've got to get this beyond my word. My word is complete. I have this down. What do I do next? So let's see how KDP works. Now you are the publisher. And as a publisher, the things you need to be aware of is metadata specifications. You need to be aware of interior specifications, interior setup, cover specifications. And that may sound like a foreign language to you right now, but you can learn it. You can learn it. Let's look at what we have to know. In the metadata, depends on what country you're from. What this is basically the author information sheet that you're going to be asked to fill out if you are going to upload your manuscript onto KDP. There's going to be the information about the book. So they're going to ask you, what format is the book? And you're going to hit the drop down and you're going to go, I have no idea. It's asking me all this other stuff. Usually you will select trade paperback. That's what we use, unless it's going to be a children's book or something like that, a little bit different. But normally what we choose is a trade paperback. Then it's going to ask you information about the author. And so this is going to be your bio. And it's really good to go in there and just kind of walk through the KDP process prior to doing it to see exactly what it's asking you for. So you're going to do the bio. And when you write the bio, this is what's important. Remember, you're no longer the author. The author in all of your words wrote, and then I, and as I, and it was all about self. It was that first person. But as the publisher, you must now speak in third person. So now you're going to be telling about yourself. And for many, many authors, we don't like this part. We don't want to tell people about us. Oh, isn't that something to do with ego? Or isn't it something to do with I should be lifting others up and not myself? But here's the truth. People, when they find your product, they want to know a little bit about you. And so this is when it's really good to have someone come alongside and say, this is a good bio for you. This is how it should be written, and it needs to be written in third person. Okay. Next, we're looking at ISBN, and ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number. ISBN, you've learned something new. International Standard Book Number, and this is the number that all books are classified through. And so the number that goes on the shelf, the number that's looked up, the number that's associated with you as an author, and you find ISBN information through Bowker, and Bowker is Bowker, and this is the website, would be the www.myidentifiers.com, myidentifiers.com. And you're going to go there and they're going to tell you they have the ISBN numbers. They also have the barcodes. They also have the QR codes. And these are things you can do on your own. But if you're purchasing your ISBN number, which has to be on the back of your book, then you can purchase one of them. Right now, I looked up the current prices. One is $125 just for one book. You can purchase 10 of them for $295, 100 for $575. Or if you're really thinking you're going to produce a lot of books, you can purchase 1,000 for $500 or for $1,500. So, and then they also have combination plans that you can put on. The thing is, you wanting to know, if I get my own ISBN number, what does that do for me? It separates you from the other KDP ISBNs that are on Amazon. KDP offers a free one. And if you have it, it will say on the back of your book, printed by KDP. And that is the first sign that tells everyone this is a self-published book. And as much as we prefer to self-publish, what we'd like to do is not have our book like everyone else's book that is self-published. We highly recommend, if you're going to self-pub, that you also create a publishing company. And that means that you can get a domain name with a publishing company that is geared to your brand. And then when you purchase the ISBN numbers, you can tag them right onto your publishing company name. And then that's what shows up on your book. So these are just some things that you need to be aware of. And then the next thing that it's going to ask for in the metadata is going to be your tax reporting, your bank info, because this is how you get paid. So you're going to have to know your routing number. You're going to have to put all of that information in there. Okay. The next one that we're looking at, again, this is a lot, but this is what self-pub looks like. Okay. The next that you're looking at is the interior specifications. You're going to look at the trim size, and the trim size on the book is going to be the size of the book. And a lot of times majority of them, they'll choose like a 6x9 would be a average cover of a book. And then this is the size that is acceptable in a bookstore, because if you're publishing and you do want yours to possibly be picked up to be carried in a bookstore, you need to know that you want it set in a size that would fit on their bookshelves. You don't want to come up with a size that is really bizarre and they have no place to put it, because that will be the first thing that knocks it off from going into a brick and mortar store. Okay. And then you're looking at the images, any images that are inside, any images on the cover, any images on the back. They have to be 300 DPI. And this just is dots per inch. And what this allows is it allows your photo to not lose resolution as it's getting larger. It doesn't pixelate. It stays very clear. So that's one of the key things to know. And then you're going to set the page size with or without bleed. What this means is if you are doing a children's book and it's going to be all the way across the page, that's called with bleed. It bleeds over, the color bleeds over the edges of the page. Without bleed is normally what we would have in like a nonfiction book, fiction book, because you have the text is in the center. Then you have to be able to set your margins, and you have to be able to know, they're going to ask you, what about gutter size? And is it on the outside or is it on the inside? These are things that you can research. All of your projects are different. So I can't take the time right now to go through what that would look like or tell you because I don't know your project. Okay. But you can Google it, find out, what do I need to set it as for this? And there are tutorials. So make sure that that's what you're looking at. And then you're also going to look at the word and it'll ask you to set your pagination. And you're just going to go, are you kidding me? What in the world am I doing with that? Well, pagination basically is the section breaks. Is this going to happen on odd pages or even pages? What are you going to do? It's really how the page is going to be set up. These are things you need to know before you go in to load up your book. Okay. Now let's go to cover specifications. Oh, covers are so fun. Covers are really, really good. When we look at covers, we're going to, if you're looking, you're going to upload a single PDF and it's going to be formatted to the trim size. And then you have, it also includes the cover and the spine and the back cover. So front cover, spine, and back cover, it's all one image. And what's good is that KDP does offer a template. So you can download the template that's geared to your book size. And it'll say you have to be aware that it's got 0.125 bleed on all sides. It needs to be centered horizontally and vertically. And then in order to calculate the spine size, you simply multiply your page count of your book. Remember, because you've got your book set as a 6x9. So you're going to multiply the page count by this extraordinary number of 0.002252. And that's if you have a black and white interior. And then 0.002347 for color. This is all in your handouts. Then it's going to be able to figure out how wide, how thick your spine is going to be. And the spine, when you turn your book on the side, this is what everyone sees. If it's on a library shelf, it has the name of the book, it has the author's name. And if you have a cute little image for your publishing company, then it could have that there as well. So that's the purpose of the spine. Okay. Sorry about that. Then we're going to look at barcode. Barcode is what is on the back of the book. And barcode is all of those different black lines that are showing up and down. Okay. You get the ISBN number, and then the barcode is set to that ISBN number. That is what is scanned. And KDP will add a free barcode, but you must leave room for it on the back of the design. And it does show up in their templates. So the bottom of the barcode is located 0.25 inches up from the bottom trim line of the cover. And then the right side of the barcode is located 0.25 inches to the left of the spine. So it will tell you where it needs to be. And it's also going to show you this in the template. But again, something that you just need to be aware of. That was a lot, right? I mean, I went through this because there is so much, but this is truth. This really is the process that you go through if you are going to self-publish your book. So what do you do about getting help? I tell you, there's help out there for you everywhere. It just depends on what you want to do. There's a lot of the KDP experts. You can ask them any questions and they can answer them for you. There are cover designers that are out there. There are editors that you can find. There are formatters that you can find. You can hire someone to do it all for you. And that's what you do as a self-pub, is you wear the publishing hat alongside the author's hat, or you can kind of make it colorful and wear them both. But these are the things that you do need to be aware of. And for those of you who have a manuscript and you're like, okay, I've got a manuscript. How am I supposed to start this process if I've already done I've used tab and I've used all of the special keys that you said don't use? Here's real simple. This is what you do, is you open up your manuscript in Word, and then, and here's a key thing, please update your Word to the latest version. Because I will tell you, publishing houses will have it that way. And you need to have it in the best, if you're going to be the publisher, you need to update and make sure that your Word is updated to the latest version, okay? Now what you're going to do is you're going to open up your manuscript, and then you're going to copy the complete text of your manuscript, okay? And if you're Mac, I know that it's Command A because it's Command All and it highlights all. And I'm not sure exactly what it is on PC. Maybe someone can help each other out there in the chat what it is on PC. But you're going to copy the entire text, and then you're going to open up a new Word document, and then you're going to click, and I do the right click because I'm going to want to paste it. But what did I say before? You're not going to hit just paste. You're going to hit paste or special paste. That's what you're going to click, special paste, and then it's going to give you the option to click unformatted text. That's what you're going to click, and that's what you're going to paste into the document. Then you can go through and you can hit Control All again, you highlight the entire thing, then go up to the top and then hit what you want it to be. The Times New Roman, you want it to be this particular font, you want it to be this line spacing, but you're going to do it all from format and insert and tools. You're no longer going to hit little tabbies and all of that to make it happen, because you don't want to have anything that's going to show up on the completed file that's going to print on KDP, and you get it and go, oh my word, why did that go all the way over there? It's because it had hidden formatting in it. Okay. So now you have a book. What do you do now? Now it's time for you to slip on the marketing cap, and you can get marketing help with KDP. You can hire special help, such as a publicist, to be able to market your product that's out there. You can pay for a marketing coach. You can learn the ropes on your own. And truly, this is a question that when I speak with authors, I meet with authors all the time. And if you'd like to meet with me, I'd love to meet with you and go over your project with you for no obligation. And you just contact me at linda@eabookspublishing.com, linda@eabookspublishing.com. And I'll reply to yours, and I have a little Calendly thing, and you click on it and go, I just want to know, can I tell you about my project? And I'd be happy to go through this with you. But here's what you want to know. The question you ask yourself: what's the best use of my time? Is it writing my books, marketing my books, or learning how to do it all correctly? You have to answer that question. And if the answer is, hey, I've got the time, I can learn how to do all of this, then you will be fabulous. It'll be wonderful. If that is in your wheelhouse and you're like, I can do this, then I'm thinking you can. Okay. And if you have marketing background, you can market your stuff. You can learn how, read books on it. There truly is so much information out there on it. Yet if you say, you know what, really, I just want to write my books. all of this is like speaking a different language. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with it, right? So if that's where you're at, then what you can do is ask yourself, all right, maybe I might want to go with an independent publisher, because this is talking to self-pub peoples here. This is someone who, you're not wanting to go to the traditional route. We have a whole nother discussion on that. But if you're going to self-pub, you can do it by yourself and you could be extremely successful. But if you're not quite sure, one of the things that I did when I self-pub is I found an independent publisher. And now it happens to be the publisher that I help other authors through. And what I found with their partnership publishing is they held my hand the entire way, but the whole thing is it's still your book. You still receive all the royalties. There's a lot of independent publishers out there, and this is what I will ask you to check with all of them. Find out what their business model is. Because all indie publishing, not all of them, but the ones that are reputable, the ones that you see at conferences, they've been kind of vetted. So find out, what do they offer? Do you have to buy books from them? Do you get all of your royalties? What is their process in holding your hand in the process? Or what are their steps, right? What is their business model? And I'd be happy to share with you the business model with EA Books if you want to find that out. And there are other independent publishers that are here at this wonderful conference. So check us all out and see if there's one that fits with you. And the saying is true that you don't know what you don't know. And with indie publishing, it can be costly. It can be costly. So you want to find out what you don't know and then see what you want to apply yourself. All right, that's what I have. I'm going to stop share. And then I'm going to see if we have questions in the house. And you can unmute yourself, raise your hands, ask your questions, and I'd be happy to answer. And if someone can let me know how much time we have left, please. I can make it up, but it'll always wind up being more time than I'm supposed to have. So Sandy, do you know how much time I'm supposed to have? How much time we have left here? Is it a quarter after the hour?
25 minutes, 25 more minutes.
Okay, so here's the deal. We have 25 more minutes. So what does that mean? That means some of you, if you want to get on the hot seat, you can do that. And I would be happy to answer your questions. I'd be happy to ask you what your project is. Where are you at? Maybe answer that question right now. Where are you currently at in writing your manuscript? How many of you have your manuscript completed? Show of hands. How many have your manuscript completed? Okay, perfect. How many of those that are completed, can you share with me what genre you're writing in? So unmute yourself and then just let me know. Hey, Lynn, I see you there.
Yeah, I'm writing a children's book. Well, yeah, a picture book. So I'm brand new at this, and I do have an illustrator, and it has been unofficially formatted. They tried to format it for me. I have no idea whether it's the way it's supposed to be. It's still very raw. It is completed. It's 730 words.
Okay.
So I'm really not sure what the next step is. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what I don't know.
Right. You don't know what you don't know, but that's so good to be able to say it. See, y'all, that's kind of like the next step. The healing is to say, I need to be healed. But the next step in understanding is to be able to say, I don't know it all. And that's okay, because we can learn, right? We can all learn, or we can decide, yeah, pretty much I don't want to learn it all. And is there someone reputable that can help me along the way? So thank you for your answer there, Lynn. Joy, what about you? I saw your hand up that your manuscript is complete. And what is your genre?
It is. It's actually a collection of stories about animals, all different kinds of animals. like mammals and farm animals and insects and birds, and it's they have unusual adventures, and then but they're of like a heavenly kind, and
Okay.
they
Do you have a
do
working
rhyme.
title? Do you have a working title?
Yes, coolness of light. Coolness
Okay.
of light. And I actually love to paint, so I've illustrated a few of them, but I'm not sure if they should be like in one long book or, you know, like individual
Sure.
books. And I
So
just don't really
you're
know like
needing,
what audience really, because, you know, some people told
okay.
me that some of the words are a little too much for like little children, but I think they're more for kids. So I'm kind of stuck, I guess.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the honesty there. Okay. And then Corrine, you'll unmute there. Thank you.
Okay, I got it. There it is.
There you are.
Uh,
What
so
genre?
I have, I just, maybe this isn't, you're asking for manuscripts. I did, 2 books, and
Okay.
I just wanted to maybe share what that was like. Totally frustrating. One book went to self-publishing to 3 different self-publishing companies, and I lost a lot of money to 3 different publishing companies. And I got fed up and said, I'm doing it myself. And I found that, and I think this is a very important part of publishing, of writing, because it's a part of writing, but you really do have to understand how to put your book together. And so I think it took me longer to learn that process than it did to write. And
Yeah. What
and,
are your books? Are your books fiction or nonfiction, or what are your
one
books?
one of them is creative nonfiction,
Okay.
and it's about yeah, it's about a story between a mother and a father talking about how they educated their 3 children, and it's about the educational system in blind children.
Okay.
And it's fiction, but I introduced real data from the federal government
Perfect.
into it.
Sure.
And and then the other one is poetry and short stories and prose.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that's good because
And
we have a variety that's here. And so I appreciate the 3 of you sharing what those areas are. For the rest of us, how many of you are at the beginning stages? Do you know how many of you are wanting to write fiction? Okay. All right. Kimberly wants to write some fiction. How many of you are doing like children's books? Okay. All right. Yep. Lynn, we've got you. Okay. Nonfiction, self-help books. Okay. Poetry. Erin, you're just there and I'm just waiting. Erin, what are you writing? And then Phyllis, what are you writing?
It's nonfiction for adult Christians. It's a love story between a man and his wife and their God as they travel through difficult situations. It has accompanying scripture with each chapter to reinforce, strengthen the faith-based lesson in each chapter.
Okay.
It's the title is Tracing God's Hand because it's looking backwards over 80 years of how the Lord has directed through things.
Wow. Excellent. Excellent. Erin, what about you? Oh, did I lose Erin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I may have. Ed, what about you? What are you writing?
I think I'm off mute. I have authored a book on forgiveness, and I'm currently working on something. My working title would be Pace to Peace, Finding Rest in a World of Unrest, writing about themes of inner transformation.
Good. Well, where do y'all find yourself right now? Is there an area that you're definitely stuck in? Is some of what I shared today, was there one thing that you walked away with today that you're like going, okay, didn't know I would have to be that detail oriented? Or one thing that you're like, this is where I'm really stuck in trying to move forward? And anyone wanting to offer with that? Yeah, Kimberly.
I have totally overwhelming for me. Like, I would definitely only want to focus on the writing.
Okay.
I've actually started 3 nonfiction books and a fiction book. The nonfiction books are pretty much, I guess, Christian encouragement, self-help. One is Cast Down But Not Destroyed. Another one is Not My Will. And the other is Whole Body Ministry, that's my most passionate one, where it's about how the church keeps itself not whole by not attending to the most broken parts. Meaning those who have been wounded and traumatized and don't, aren't the healthiest. And the Bible says that they need more attention, and the church tends not to do that. And how it keeps the church not in the place, not as effective as we need to be when we don't do that. And then
when we don't come along. Go ahead. And then I want to address something with what you said, but go ahead with the other one.
Okay. The fiction book is about my life, but I would write it in fiction. And it's the one that one in Whole Body Ministry, I get a lot of people saying that I should write, but I don't know about the fiction one. Like, it's a lot. I've been through a lot of trauma, and it's a lot. I enjoy writing it. When I did, it starts with my father murdered my mother when I was 3 years old. He shot her with 5 arrows. And so it starts with her birth. And I did enjoy writing that chapter, but it's so much to unpack. I'm 57 now. So I really believe it would minister to a lot of people, but I just don't know about that.
And sometimes when we're at a place where we're not exactly sure how a book needs to flesh out, if you find someone who would be like a developmental editing, going through developmental editing with someone when you have the concept and you're just not exactly sure what goes from there. But as I said, everyone needs to, if you're self-pubbing, you must have someone who edits your book, and it must be a professional edit. You must be willing to invest in that portion of your book, because once it's out there, and you want it to be the best that it can be. So that's a key area there. Anyone else in an area that we covered today that you're like, okay, this is kind of where I'm at. What do you think would be my next best step? Or where you've kind of figured what your next best step might already be?
That's why I was going to ask you, do you think that any of what I described would be picked up by a whole publisher, or
like a traditional publisher? Okay, that's a good question. What you do with traditional, and the way to know what traditional publishers, because that's not necessarily, I do teach on that. That's not what this teaching is on. But I know that we do have recordings where that particular type of class is being taught. So you do want to make sure and listen to that one, Kimberly, because they're going to say, this is what traditional publishers look for. And a lot of it is platform. A lot of it is, how can you help them in selling your product as well? Because they are business that way. Where your self-pub, the risk and everything you take, a traditional publisher, they take all the risk. An independent publisher, which is like with EA Books, we partner with you, but you're still the one taking the risk. You're the one paying the money out, but you also are the one that makes all the choices. And with our company, you also get all the royalties and you also get all of the rights. So we don't keep, and you don't have to purchase any books from us. So that's, you know, it really is just researching that a little bit more. Ed, you have a question. And I need you to unmute again. There you go.
I was just typing a question that if we do hire an editor and those modifications are needed to our Microsoft Word file, is that something the editor does, like all that formatting and things you went through?
Well, you have to find out if the editor is also a formatter.
Okay.
Because everyone has their own wheelhouse. And that truly is, when you are self-publishing, it's those that have someone to cover everything are going to be your independent publishers, because we have everyone that are professionals in all of these areas. And some of them, they work for high-end publishing houses and they do freelance. So that's one of the things that we have. We have independent contractors that work for us to give you the end product, where each one of us, we stay in our lane. We know what our lane is. This is what we specialize in. And then your book cover goes to this person and the formatting goes to this person. And so as a self-pub, if you are choosing, you need to make sure that you get, you know, recommendations, someone that you've seen the work that they've done, or you choose to go the independent route. And also with the independent route, this again, you're paying for it, but ask them, do they have payment plans? I mean, we have payment plans with EA Books, but that comes alongside the their business model. What is it that they will allow you to do? What is it that's part of their everyday? This is what we offer everyone. And with part of one of the things that we do is we do show you our prices too. And you have two handouts for this one. And one of them is our conference prices. So if you download that handout and you meet with us and you say, I have this price from the conference, and you happen to go check out what our price is on our website, you'll be happy with the price on the website, but you'll be really happy with the price.
Well, I will certainly do that. I'm at that.
But I'm just saying, again, there's so many that are out there, you know, I rep who I rep, but everyone, you know, look at them. It's kind of like our salvation. It's personal. It's personal. And you look at it and you see if it fits. You speak to people. Does it feel right to you? Does it, you know, is this someone that I can speak to? Someone, you know, find that out. Find that out. Does that make sense? Does that track with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll probably be.
Yeah. Okay. We've got 1 minute. Thank you. Or 1 minute. Is that it? Oh, we are 1 minute over.
10.
All right.
No, you got 10
Oh,
minutes.
10 minutes. 10 minutes. Thank you. You're so good. Area 5, room 5. That's his name. I mean, there's no name there, so it's Area 5, room 5. Okay. Another question. Yes. And please unmute yourself. Kareem.
What happens when you're doing business with for independent publishing and the publisher goes bankrupt? What happens to your book?
Well, that is a good question. That's why you vet who you go with. You vet them. You find out who's working with them. Do your due diligence. Don't base things on any promises. Don't base anything on promises. You want to see, what are they active? How many projects are they working on? Do you find this independent company, are they in top writers conferences? Do they have a presence there? Because you know what that means? That means that those that bring us in, they vetted us. They know that we don't get negative press. We're just different. There's many that I can name and I'm like, I think their products are great products. We just have different clients. We all have different clientele. Everyone is looking for something different. And what you want, or I'm not going to tell you what you want, but I know for me, and the fact that, again, I'm speaking for EA, is we pray over everybody, and our walking out who we are and our faith is not lip service for us. It is how we live as individuals, and as the owner of the company, her and her husband, I mean, there is nothing that you can't find a better family if you're going to be looking for a writing family. I'm a little biased about that, but those are things that's important to me. Someone who listens to me, someone who hears me, someone who values what I have to say, but also someone who's going to say, you know, you can choose that cover of your sister's picture doing this, but people are going to look at it and go, that's a self-published book. Or we can say, what if we found a different way of doing it, still gave you the same feel, and people would look at it and go, that's a book I want to pick up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if someone has gone bank, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, that is not my wheelhouse, not my lane. So I can't advise you in that area. But it does happen, right? It does happen, y'all. So you have to be aware of where you're spending your time, and especially where you're spending your money. Yes, Phyllis, and we have 6 minutes.
Okay. If someone goes with you, do you help them setting up a author's website or author's page?
Oh, you're so good. What a great question, Phyllis. We are ecstatic that we do have, as part of our process, depending on the packages, because you always get choice. So we have different packages depending on what your needs are. And yeah, we have a social media guru who sits up the Author Central page, does all of this stuff, if that's a need that you have. And that's what we evaluate at the beginning. What are your needs? What are the things that, you know, you've already taken care of, or where do you need help? And I think that it's very important to be able to have that and not to worry, is it set up the correct way? Even ones that work with you on website or a blog, if you're going to set up a blog, and there's inexpensive ways to do all of that. So we do have those options available, and that's something that we can certainly discuss and see what your greatest need is in that area. But yes, that's part of the partnership, is we come alongside you and we say, have you considered this? Or do you already have this? Anyone else?
It sounds
yes,
really
Joy.
good.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kimberly. Let me, oh, wait, Kimberly said it sounds really good. So I want to go to that, but hold on. No, Joy, go ahead, Joy.
I just had a general question. I was just wondering what the difference really is in, like, I guess, promoting your book like an ebook or a regular book or like an audio book.
Mm-hmm.
That just curious.
So your question as far as marketing, those three different ones?
And yes, and kind of your thoughts about the difference. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, knowing that if you have an ebook and you have a paperback book, they're formatted differently. So even if you format a paperback book, you can't take that format and then plug it in as an ebook. It comes out different. So they're both formatted differently. They're formatted in different locations as well. And with the audiobook, since I love my audiobooks, I actually have one of the podcasts that's going to be coming out. Probably it's the episode that's coming out next week, or maybe even on Tuesday, is on audiobooks, the truth about audiobooks for writers. So that'll give you a lot more detail than what I have time to give you right now, but that would be on Your Best Writing Life, which is, we have the Your Best Writing Life group on Facebook, and that's also the podcast. So you can look that up too. A lot of information there, and then you can make up your mind on that. But they are different, and not everyone who has a paperback book needs an audiobook. It is a trend that is not going away anytime soon. But you also have to know, is your audiobook a book that people are going to listen to? And based on content, based on your audience, there's a lot of factors that are there. And not every paperback book is a good ebook. So you look at that as well. Most ebooks don't have photos in them. And if you have, like with a Kindle reader, you can do some children's books. You just have to be very careful in how they're formatted to be in there for children to look at them and read them on a Kindle or in that particular format. It all can be done. It's all in your hands because you are the author and the publisher